Hello. So in the previous videos, I showed you how to create an organization, create a new project for mappers to map new features or existing features. And now we're at the most important step that most users will be interacting with, the actual mapping of the features in the field. So I will go into some more deep dives in future videos and tutorials, but this will be a very high level overview of how the mapping works. So as you can see on my screen here, on the left, I have the web-based version, or you could say web browser version of FieldTM. It's loaded on my laptop. On the right, I have a screen share of my mobile phone that is currently also on the same page, the home page of for the mappers. So from here, you can see we have a demo project that I will click on my laptop. I will also click the same on my phone so that we load the same project. So here you can see we have a couple of tasks already locked by other mappers. There's a prompt to turn on geolocation, which for the purposes of this demo I won't show. The mapper front end actually has a few additional functionalities when you're in the field, particularly around geolocation, that are quite hard to demo. But you should see your dot of your blue dot of your user in the field. You should be able to navigate to features, hopefully with a simple routing algorithm, and also tilt the map slightly like you're in navigation mode to find new features. So I'll move to my phone on the right here and pan around the map. Currently we have a OpenStreetMap base map. There are a couple of options. You could, for example, do a satellite imagery base map. Sorry, this is a Esri vector imagery. This is an example of a satellite imagery base map. As I mentioned in the project creation step, you can actually, in advance, create a base map from, say, high resolution drone imagery or satellite imagery. And the project manager can actually create a extract of that base map and make it available via this menu for the mappers. If that is enabled, then by default, it should actually be the default option. But let's go back to the OpenStreetMap view. So the starting point of mappers will be to select a task. Here we're going to select this task in the bottom right corner, task 32, and we can start mapping. Now, sometimes the UI may not update perfectly in the field if you have a spotty internet connection and so on, but in theory, if there's a good connection, you should see real-time live updates as users lock and unlock tasks. They should change color, and the same should happen for buildings within task areas as well. In the worst case scenario, if you aren't receiving the synced updates, there's this button you can just see on the left side of the screen now that I'm highlighting to sync things automatically. You can always click that if you feel you don't have the most up-to-date information, and that will give you the most recent from the server. Okay, so once you click on a task area, the buildings available within that task should display for selection. Now, if you select a building, so here you can see I'm selecting various buildings that have different IDs here. I'll select this building here. The navigation feature is available in the bottom left that I won't use. The main thing that you will wish to do is collect data, so the bottom right button. Clicking that will open what we call the web form, which is rendering the questionnaire that was pre-made by the project manager. So I'll answer yes to that first question. Now this is the layout of all of the questions in the XLS form. There's only one mandatory question here, so I will select an answer to that and then skip all of the rest for now, for brevity. So we'll go next. Is the digitized location correct? We could say no and select an option Y, but in this case we'll just say yes. You can also take a picture. Here I'll just be taking a picture of my desk but this should then attach to the web form and be uploaded once it's sent. Now, additional features on this Mapper front end, we have an offline mode tab. Most of the functionality required to work offline should be automatically downloaded to your phone, but you can verify this by going to the Features tab. Here you can see the features are already stored offline for use, so we don't have to interact with this. We also have the Base Maps tab. This is where I mentioned if the project manager has pre-generated base maps that the users can use, they will be available on a drop down here to download, store offline, and use as you wish. We also have additional options in this third tab, simple things like the project information. We have instructions for the project. So the project manager may provide some detailed instructions for each user. And here we also have mapping activities as and when they happen. So I will show this functionality more in depth in a future deep dive, as well as comments on tasks and features, tagging of users, and all of these additional functionalities. But the main thing to show is purely this web forms mapping flow, where we click through our form, we upload, and this gets sent to the server. Or if you're offline, it gets cached offline and then it gets sent when connectivity is restored. Now, as you can see, I actually do have an issue with my sync currently for this demo, but the easy way to show this in action is just to actually click the sync button as I mentioned. You can see it's currently refreshing there. And now you can see as this has been mapped, the building has turned green. So every user that is scrolling around the map should be able to see the green complete buildings. There's a legend here, so if the feature is currently being mapped, say that the web form is still opened, it will be displayed as yellow. And if there was an issue, for example, the feature didn't exist, and the user filled that out in the form, it will be marked as red. So this should allow for much easier coordination amongst mappers, as they can see real-time updates as others are mapping, and be able to effectively subdivide their tasks and feature mapping. So stay tuned for another update where I will go into more of a deep dive of this workflow.